Afternoon, everyone. Audio recording of meetings. This meeting of the Liverpool Plains Shire Council is being live streamed to Council's website, and a webcast of this meeting will be published to Council's website at www.liverpoolplains.newsouthwales.gov.au, so that it is available for viewing by members of the public. I'll recite the acknowledgement of country and council prayer. Acknowledgement of country. Today we gather on the land of the Kamilaroi Nation. We therefore need to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of this land. We also pay our respects to the Aboriginal elders, both past and present, and further extend that respect to other adults who have joined us today. Council prayer. Lord, we ask that you watch over this council, guide us in our deliberations and decisions for the betterment of all the people of our Shire and Australia. Thank you. Apologies and applications for leave of absence by councillors or attendance by audio, visual by councillors. Are there any apologies? Leaves of absence? Thank you. 3. Confirmation and 3.1 minutes of the council meeting held on the 23rd of April 2025. The recommendation 1. The minutes of the council meeting held on the 23rd of April 2025 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Simpkin. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Allen. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 3.2 minutes of the extraordinary council meeting held on the 12th of May 2025. The recommendation 1. That the minutes of the extraordinary council meeting held on the 12th of May 2025 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Lawson. Seconder, please. Councillor Cohen. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 3.3 minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on the 21st of February 2025. The recommendation 1. That the minutes of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on the 21st of February 2025 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Cohen. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Simpkin. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Cohen.
Mr. Mayor, just wanted to make a comment that the chair of the ARIC committee has asked for better explanation of minutes, a little bit more expansion of minutes and minutes going forward, so the committee here, council as a whole, will have a better idea of what's being discussed and what directions are being given. So hopefully, going forward, the minutes may contain a little bit more content than they have at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Is there anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Disclosures of interests. Are there any conflicts of interest of matters under consideration of the ordinary meeting in accordance with Part 4 and Part 5 of the Code of Conduct? Councillor Kane first.
Mr. Mayor, I provide services to LPSC in the areas of water and wastewater. In reviewing the May business paper, I do not believe there are any disclosures that as a councillor, so I should say decisions that as a councillor I will be asked to make where I have conflict. However, should any questions or discussions arise in relation to Infrastructure and Environmental Services Report, 8.1 Water Services, pages 136 or 137, I will declare a pecuniary interest and leave the chamber while the items are discussed. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Kane. Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I wanted to declare a non-significant non-pecuniary interest in item 8.2 of the business paper. Due to the nature of the relationship I have with someone involved with that matter, I will be moving it.
Thank you, councillor Simpson. Councillor Lawson.
I'll also have a non-pecuniary interest with item 8.2, business relationship.
Can we leave the room? Thank you, councillor Lawson. Anyone else? 5.1, the mayoral minutes, 2025. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the mayoral minute for April 2025. I would like to move this report. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Kane. Anyone wishing to speak for or against the motion?
No, Mr Mayor.
If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 6.1, the Executive Services Report for April 2025. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the Executive Services Report for April 2025. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Allen. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Carmen. Does the member wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a quick one to assist the council group to understand council's operations and different things. I'm wondering if we could get a up-to-date organisational structure just to understand current vacancies.
Lieutenant Manning.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Simpkin, for the question. Yes, we can certainly provide that at the next meeting. Thank you.
Councillor Simpson. You're right. Is anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 6.2, the Resolution Register Update. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the Resolution Register as at the 19th of May 2025 as appended at Annexure 1 and the Resolution Register for 2023 and 2024 as appended at Annexure 2. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Lawson. Thank you. Do I have a second? Councillor Robinson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Lawson.
I was just wondering if we could have an update on Resolution 2025/51 in relation to the expression of interest being drafted for the Royal Theatre. Just wondering how that's progressing, if that's going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, thank you, Councillor Lawson, for the question. Yes, our corporate services team are working on the EOI for the theatre. The document is scheduled to go live on Friday the 6th of June, so that EOI will go out publicly from early June, and it will be open until Sunday the 29th of June.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Allen.
Just in regards to that one, is this the second time it was going out to EOI? Just that I do have a, it's not really, it's a what's the name, community society of Councillor Lawson and Councillor said, just out of curiosity, because we had one in and I thought that already closed. Well, I'll answer it. Yeah.
The General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, thank you, Councillor Allen. No, so you, that EOI was an unsolicited EOI. So now what council does, in line with the council resolution is we issue a public EOI, which allows all respondents to, I guess, submit an expression of interest, and then there'll be an evaluation process after.
Right.
Oh, yeah. That didn't.
The first process.
Yeah, no, it was in the middle. I'll discuss it after. So, yeah.
It's really right.
Yeah.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Cullen.
That's really Mr. Mayor, I just wondered if we had a bit of an update in relation to the border negotiations with the Greenway Golf Club, whether they've had any success or whether we're moving forward at all in relation to that matter.
Through the GM.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Cullen. My understanding is we are yet to receive advice from the golf club in relation to that and their efforts in relation to the boardroom. I'll just defer to the Director of Infrastructure to see if he has any further communication.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So through this matter, the drilling that they did initially did not identify any water, but that's about the last we've heard on so far. So the discount on their water usage charges would have been processed through finance, but they're still doing their investigation with that. And then once my their resources back from leaving around doing the water approach regarding the modelling for water tanks, etc., but that will also be dependent on what level of water they can find within the bore as well, because that will affect the sizing of the tank.
What I can gather, Councillor Cullen, is that, they're going to go and try and go a little bit further towards the creek in the back 9 section to see what they can do, so they've got to go through the dividing process, that'll take a while. But they're still working on the process, still working on it. So, anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously, thank you. 7.1 Corporate and Community Services Directorate Report for April 2025. A recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the Corporate and Community Services Directorate update report for April 2025. Do I have a motion, please?
So, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Cullen, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Lawson. Does the member wish to speak to the motion?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 7.2 Statement of Investments for April 2025. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the Statement of Investments as at 30th of April 2025 is appended. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Simkin. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Allen. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously, thank you. 7.3 Quarterly Budget Review Statement for the period ending the 31st of March 2025. The recommendation that Council 1 adopts the Quarterly Budget Review Financial Statement as appended at Annexure A for the period ending 31st of March 2025, incorporating the variations disclosed as the revised budget. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Simkin. Seconder, please. Councillor Robinson. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Simkin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bear with me, I've got a couple of clarifications I'd like to seek. It notes in a couple of different spots about some carry forward projects. Just wondering if at a time suitable shortly after this meeting, we could get an understanding of what those, the exact details of what those projects are that are carried forward. If we could, please. A lot of it's self-explanatory, but there's, for example, the double REF, the road funding works carried forward. I'd like to just understand if that's one project or several projects combined, that's sort of those issues. Further, just trying to get my head around I don't want to get too much into the detail, but if we're looking at the overall, the consolidated council, you know, our grants and contributions capital has dropped by about $22 million. Understanding that approximately 11 of that would be a result of West Street Industrial Precinct. If we're then further then trying to understand where the logical reduction in expenses and costs would be off the basis of that drop. Our capital expenditure for materials and contracts we've got a $32 million reduction, which doesn't seem to trend, understanding that those expenses could be sought in areas of the fund. Just want to understand if get a little bit more detail around one, why we've seen the capital contributions cut back into a third across the whole funds, and two, why our materials and contracts haven't reduced by the same function. Further, let me just check to see if there's anything else. And then if we go down through to the capital projects with the Longfield Ovals lighting, obviously it's noting that there's approximately $128,000 remaining in that. I know that in a couple other reports, there's been some potential hold-ups or changes in scope for design and dealing with the regulator. Wondering if that's going to be sufficient to handle that at this point, or whether we're aware of a cost overrun there. And also the old Swinging Bridge project, noting that there's a tender to be looked at later, but it would appear that based on total spent to date, we're short in that, but I'm presuming that's a DRFA estimate number and is subject to change. And that's it.
Hit the button, Chaz.
So,
The General Manager?
Thank you, Councillor Tinkin. There was a bit in there, so I'll begin with the first question. That is, can we get a briefing on those, the 5 carry forwards? And we certainly can, and then we can circulate that out of session after this meeting and perhaps allocate some time with the junior workshop to work through them. The question relating to the lighting, I'll defer to the Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So regarding the lighting at Longfield Oval, the budget remaining there is to undertake power upgrade into the supply into it. At this point in time, we do expect that will still be sufficient, but the design has yet to be completely finalised. So we do expect it will be sufficient, but we're waiting on one piece of information from a contractor to finalise that design and get essential energy approval on that.
You're right.
Just regarding the comment around the income grant drops and the difference in these contracts, I believe the reason for that will be the income will be treated as an operational income because it's not necessarily tied to a specific project, whereas the material costs, if it was a capital cost, won't show in the materials and contracts cost because it's off book, like it doesn't impact the balance sheet. I believe that will be the main reason for that difference in income. We recognise the income as an operating income, but the expense will be recognised as a capital expense, so they don't necessarily line up with the statement.
Right. Councillor Singh?
yeah, thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Robinson?
I'd just like some more information on the way things stand, so we get explained why this is classed as operational or why this is strategic or any other thing. Because to me, a lot of it seems blurred, just the boundaries. Thank you.
Is that a question, John?
Yep.
Through the General Manager?
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, we can certainly look at how we present this information to the board to provide some more information around those variations as to how it's treated in terms of operational or otherwise. So we can add some more detail to this report, I guess, so that there's more commentary around that.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Kane?
Mr Mayor, just one question regarding a budget variation of $90,000 in fees and charges through planning department. It just says this may not be at budget levels. I'm guessing that's a projected income that has previously followed in previous years and it just hasn't appeared. And just to follow up to the question from Councillor Simpkins regarding the $10.5 million that's still floating in this report, how will that carry through to the financials? Has that been budgeted on income now that it's removed? Will that show a negative figure going forward, or is that just absorbed in grant monies or something that has been removed from our budget? But $10.5 million appears in a plus, and I can't see how that is removed from those estimates. But that's the two questions I have, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
For the General Manager?
Thank you, Councillor Kane. In relation to your question about the planning fees, we were talking about these the other day. Actually, I'll just refer to the director.
Thank you, Jim. So the planning fees we get are pretty much linked to the value of the developments that come through our application processes. So as you would note in my monthly reports, we've noticed that the value of developments approved has been dropping over the last few years. So we predicted it based on what we've seen the last couple of years, that we've not seen the same value of developments this year. So it's just a direct linkage to it. It's not something we can readily control. So we've just got to make our best guess and maybe a bit too optimistic on the income side this time.
Second round of questions through the General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor Kane, for your question. You'll see on page 3 of 16, which is 66 of the documents themselves, variations for the March quarter, there's an income reduction there of $12 million, which reflects the majority of that is that $10.5 million that you referred to. And then if we scroll down to which page is it? Page 74, you'll see that in the roads area 3.4, there's that $10.5 million is not funded. We budgeted for it, we're not going to get the funds, so we remove that from our budget. And as Nathan was saying before, because it's a capital expense, it doesn't appear in our operational expenditure items. Sorry.
Right, Councillor Kane?
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. .4, Local Government Remuneration Tribunal Annual Report and Determination and Councillor Annual Fees for 2025 to 2026. The recommendation that recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the Local Government Remuneration Tribunal 2025 Annual Determination appended at Annexure A. 2, pursuant to section 248 of the Local Government Act of 1993, fix and determine the annual fee payable to the councils of Liverpool Plains Shire Council for the 2025-2026 financial year, effective from 1st of July 2025, at the maximum allowable limit for a rural council. 3, pursuant to section 249 of the Local Government Act 1993, fix and determine the annual fee payable to the Mayor of the Liverpool Plains Shire Council for the 2025-2026 financial year, effective from the 1st of July 2025 at the maximum allowable limit for a rural council. And 4, pursuant to section 249 (5) of the Local Government Act of 1993, pay the Deputy Mayor of Liverpool Plains Shire Council an additional fee of $4,000 deducted from the Mayor's annual fee in recognition of any periods in which the Deputy Mayor is required to act in the office of the Mayor as agreed by the Mayor. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Robinson. Seconder, please. Councillor Cowan. Thank you. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, it mentions here table 1, but it's actually in the paperwork, it's table A. Down the bottom is correct, but it's just the little things that, you know, a bit more care to detail. Thank you.
So you know what the answer to, right? Just to read that.
Statement.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Sampson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to note that I'll abstain from voting on this matter. This doesn't sit right with me, putting my hand up and giving myself a pay rise. That's a principle approach.
Yeah, I think I saw on the TV the other day with Tamworth and stuff, as I say, when you get paid the minimum amount of money that we get paid for what we do, I think 3% of whatever the increase is it's a bit like everyone has a pay rise or something, so. Anyway, anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? James, Councillor Robinson?
Well, the bit extra that I will be receiving, I might put it towards a charity. Thank you.
Very honourable of you, James. Councillor Robinson. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried. Do we have to know? Councillor Simple? Do we know? Thank you. 8.1 Infrastructure and Environmental Services Director Report for April 2025. The recommendation that Council 1 receive and note the Infrastructure and Environmental Services Director Report for the month of April 2025. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Robinson. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Kane. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've just got a couple of queries on the Willow Tree landfill. There's been quite a few cost variations since it started. I was just wondering if that can be added up so we're aware of the extra money going that way. And there's also, will the upgrades to the lighting affect the pool opening at all? Thank you.
Through the General Manager.
Through Mr. Mayor. Regarding the military landfill, so at the moment all the works that have occurred are within the contingency of the project, but one of the pieces of work we do is look at the cost to complete, which we will have an updated version of that this week, and then we will bring that to the councillors probably in the June workshop to discuss where we're sitting with that, because as you identify, there's been a number of variations there. I mean, regrettably, the way contracts work is they have, if they're due, they have to be approved, and that's how we have to work through it. So we've done our best to minimise it and maximise the outcome for the project. Regarding the lighting project and its impact on the pool, there is a potential, as Essential Energy has kept changing the goalposts on us. It has dragged on to get the Essential Energy approval for the power upgrade. I believe we're at the last step of that, but they've shifted the goalposts 3 times now in the past, where I thought we're at the last step of that as well. So it is a risk, but I do believe we're at the end of that phase. And if that data is sent through to them and the approval pushes back much further, it will be a challenge to finalise for the full way. Yes.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Robinson.
It's also in the report about, private company managing our assets as far as real estate goes. The real estate agent, are we able to do that in-house so we're not losing that little bit of money?
Through the general manager.
Through Ms. Mayor, no, with our current resource, that is not something we're able to resource within house, so we do have to contract that out for that specialist advice as well.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, all in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 8.2, DA 2024-101, Shed 5 Green Trees Crescent, the recommendation that Council 1 refuse this application for the following reasons. A, the proposal does not comply with the design requirements of the Liverpool Plains Development Control Plan for a shed on the subject land. And B, the development is of an industrial scale that is unsuitable in the R5 large lot residential zone. Do I have a motion, please? Councillor Robinson. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Cohen. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Cohen.
Mr. Mayor, I just wonder whether the applicants have had a chance to adjust or amend their application before going to this final decision of council in relation to size and positioning.
To the General Manager.
Through Ms. Mayor, thank you, Councillor Khan. Yes, we have worked with the applicants on options to have them amend their application to better fit within the requirements of the DCP. The advice we received was they wanted to consider it on the application they submitted.
So, anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak for or against the motion? If not, call for a division. All in favour? And say your names, please.
Councillor Cohen.
Councillor Kane. Councillor Robertson.
Councillor Rowell. No. Councillor Cudmore. You voting or not?
I'm just do. Councillor Brown.
All against? Carried. Unanimously. 9, delegates reports, nil. 10, notices of motions, questions with notice, nil. 11, confidential matters. The recommendation that council considers the confidential report listed below in a meeting closed to the public in accordance with section 10A(2) of the Local Government Act of 1993, 11.1 RFT 088-2023, replacement of Corinda Swinging Bridge. This matter is considered to be confidential under section 10A(2)(d)(I) of the Local Government Act, and the council is satisfied that discussion of this matter in an open meeting would, on balance, be contrary to the public interest, as it deals with commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it. Do I have a motion? Councillor Simpkin, seconder. Councillor Lawson. So we're going to, all in favour? Against, carried unanimously, thank you. Report on confidential matters, 11.1 RFT 088-2023 replacement of Corindon Swinging Bridge. The recommendation that Council 1 accepts the tender submitted by Huron Screenline Proprietary Limited for the construction of the Corindon Swinging Bridge at a cost of $561,200 exclusive GST, subject to variations. That a resolution was carried unanimously. Thank you. Meeting closed.